Warning. The following scenes may contain references to power pages and portals which some listeners may find disturbing, especially if you've struggled with poor training in the past.
Hey all, Franco Musso here. Yes, I've hacked your podcast feed. I held John and Heather hostage, but don't worry. I got my wires crossed and I'm actually paying them a small ransom in the form of sponsorship. Anyway, big announcement. I'm finally releasing my online Power Pages course. This has been 5+ years in the making. It's tried and tested on citizen devs and portal makers all around the world. It's a course I wish existed when I was getting started. It's practical, it's hands-on, and it's project-based, so you're not left wondering, how the f*** would this apply to the real world? I've built in battle-tested lessons I've learned from tens of successful portal projects across various industries, budgets, and geographies. And I've formulated the most efficient route from zero to heroic launch. The tools and techniques I've chosen to show you are all based on what has the most value to you, the learner, and to your customers, all in the most compressed timeline possible. Think 80-20, focusing on the techniques that punch above their weight and deliver the majority of results. You'll get video lessons, a repeatable framework, and some super helpful workbooks. I'll also throw in my decision flows. It's going to be the closest thing you can get to having an expert on hand or being able to peek over my shoulder while I work. Interested? Visit francomusso.com/power-pages-course and secure your spot today. Disclaimer, this course isn't for you if you prefer hours of slides, theory, and little to no action. You can now take your fingers out of your ears and enjoy the awesome that is Sprint Zero.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? And welcome to another episode of the Sprint Zero podcast. My name is John Russell, and I'm here with my amazing purple-haired co-host, Heather Perriam. Hello, Heather.
Hello, John.
How are you?
I'm super fantastic.
How
are you?
I've missed you over the
I
last...
missed you too. I
Yeah.
feel like it's been like a year, even though it really hasn't been.
No,
But it's
like
been
2 weeks.
Yeah, I
2 weeks,
know.
yeah.
It's been a horrible 2 weeks.
Oh,
And I met your lovely wife and your girls and
yeah.
yeah.
At East of England Summit. Yeah, that was great. It was really nice to have them there. So today we are joined by Bülent Altınsoy. Bülent is a Microsoft MVP, a Microsoft certified trainer, works at Avanade, where he describes himself as an entertainer in Power Platform or Copilot Studio. He's based in Hanover, Germany, and has over 15 years of experience in consultancy and is well known in the Power Platform community through his Substack, that Aloha Guy. I've also noticed that he's been saying Aloha quite a few times on the warm up. And welcome to the podcast. How are you doing? You okay?
First of all, thank you very much for the invite. I'm very happy to be here. I'm doing very, very well. So because currently I'm on vacation, as I said, in the pre-talk already. So I'm very relaxed, and I'm super happy to be here today.
Very nice, very nice.
That is amazing. And we're happy you're here. I wish I was on vacation, but I am not, and that's okay. I will not be grumpy about that. So, okay, well, your LinkedIn, as John says you're an entertainer and Power Platform and Copilot Studio, which I think is freaking brilliant. I love it. How did you develop that approach to technology, and what's the impact of that? What do you think the impact is of bringing that energy and that entertainment to what you do to the people that you work with?
It's a funny story. So a couple of years ago, or 15 years ago, when I started with Avanade, I was just an analyst when I started. It was completely new. I started with CRM. I had no idea what CRM is. The only reason why I decided to get into that department and to work with that CRM guys was only that the delivery lead just came and delivered us a pizza and said, "Here you go." And I already knew, gosh, this is a great department. At least I will not starving here, and that's why
They bribed you with pizza.
Yeah.
They bribed you with pizza.
Yeah, you got me there.
Dude, do you remember Keith Atherton gave me Scottish candy one time, and it's what I tell everybody when they're like, "Do you know Keith?" And I'm like, "I know Keith. He gave me Scottish candy." Food is the way that you motivate humans, and I don't care what country you're in, it works.
Or a dopamine
It is,
dose.
It is, This is a way of bribing. So I learned how to bribe fantastically during my last 15 years at Avanade. So, and after 10 years in the CRM space, I just wanted to do something else because I got bored a little bit because always the same. And I got the unbelievable opportunity to work on a global level at Avanade as a Power Platform lead for learning. And when I just came in, I felt like an entrepreneur or freelancer. So suddenly I didn't have these kettles anymore, that kettles of you have to deliver something and these are our KPIs. I still got some KPIs, but I was really free in what I could do, and that helped me to develop more or less the person I am today. And we didn't had so much trainers, so I tried to find the trainers, but most of them are on projects, so that's why I couldn't get them. So, but most of the part I learned on myself, and then I just jumped in and or taught the people on that. And then I just thought I can make it a little bit more funny, just to because that was during the COVID time, and during this COVID time, everything was virtual. Just imagine 8 hours with me in a virtual room.
Sounds good.
Either it can be fun or this can be the most horrible day of your life. So that's why I just decided, at least I could do some kind of telling bad jokes or making some fun, because when you just, load, and pop up from an environment or just, execute some agentic stuff like Copilot and so on, sometimes it takes a very long time. Or Power Automate is my favorite, Once you're just waiting, and Power Automate, is not something like bam, in 2 seconds you see results. It took sometimes 2 minutes,
Mm.
3 minutes, 5 minutes. And during this time, I just started entertaining people and telling some jokes.
So
And
I'm
most of
gonna
the
put you on
time,
the spot though. You're gonna have to tell us a joke.
We do need a joke. And I want it to be really good, because you say, oh, Power Automate's not fast. And I literally just witnessed a flow that has been running for 4.5 days. So it is a joke that needs to make me feel entertained, happy
Whoa.
enough to get me
This is
through
proper on
4.5
the
days.
spot. Proper on
No
the
pressure.
spot.
No pressure. We're
no
only
pressure,
going to
no
judge
pressure.
you.
So
Yeah, that's all.
all the jokes, on point, you just asked me, like, never work like this, and they all are super
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
But what always works is, I just figure out during a class who's been a superhero, who just been, a little bit knowledgeable, and then I'm pointing to that person and said, okay, if I tell the class something wrong, this person is there and can rescue you, and you can jump in and can just correct me. And then I'm just creating a relationship with my audience already, and I'm just putting also during community meetings, or conferences, I just put someone in and I'm making my jokes and so on. And always, if I
Yeah.
say something, I'm just looking at the person, right? Am I right? And so on, just to get my confirmation, even I know I am right, but this person just,
Yeah.
you get the people, laughing. Or one of the best conferences jokes are always the internet connection. So I don't know if you already mentioned, you have been a couple of weeks ago, that inaugural new Power
Yeah.
Yeah,
Platform conference, right?
Easter England Power Platform Summit. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I
Yeah.
wish I could have been there as well, but
You
unfortunately,
would have loved it.
I'm
You
pretty
missed
sure.
Norwich Castle, which is the most amazing experience ever. There's a little bit of sarcasm behind that, but yeah, no, it was a fantastic event. It was a fantastic event.
If it was your approach to make me jealous, you nailed it. Thank you.
Yeah,
I was
it
in
was
Cologne
good.
though afterwards, right? Did you go to the Cologne? Did you go to ECS in Cologne?
I was there. Yeah, that was last
And
week.
you didn't see my sparkly shoes. Now I'm really sad. Don, I'm really sad.
Right.
He was supposed to make us happy with the joke, and now my feelings are. No, I'm
Oh,
just
dear.
The
kidding.
internet
There was a
connection
lot of people
mostly.
there, wasn't there?
The internet connection mostly on conference are really bad, and when my partner Kate did 2 sessions with her, just was firing something in Power Apps and it just didn't come up, and I said, oh wow, we have again the most reliable internet connection ever. And everyone in the class already knows about that, because everyone knows that internet connection mostly sucks during that conference. It is never reliable.
It
And
was
that's
very
why
bad.
I learned my lesson: record everything before you go into a session.
Yes.
So otherwise, if something's not working, at least you have a backup.
Nice. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
love it.
our session was, I'd kind of done that recording, didn't I? And it was like a funky jazzy slideshow. But so
And then he telepathically knew the part I didn't want to talk about, which was really great.
Yeah.
And he was like, "We're just going to skip over one note." And I was like, "Oh, thank you, John." And I
Nice.
didn't tell him that ahead of time, but I was like, "Please don't," because me and OneNote have a love-hate relationship, and
yeah.
you knew that. So
Yeah. So
we digress.
Bülent, you've been in, like I said in the intro, you've been in, and you've also said that you've been in 15 years inside the Power Platform space. How has the consulting landscape changed in that time, and how has AI and Copilot shifted what clients expect from their consultants?
Well, first of all, I'm not so long in the Power Platforms
Okay.
space, just
Yep.
6 years. The Power Platform exists since 2016, I guess, something like this around, 15 years. So if some fact checkers just coming into the podcast and like, wait a second, so that's not
We
true.
don't
With
want any
15 years,
comments on that. Thank you. Thank you.
But how AI came and Copilot came, I think it just came suddenly overnight, more or less. I mean, AI exists since over 18 years, but it had never had that breakthrough like with generative AI as before. And Microsoft invested a lot of money, in a cooperation with OpenAI. And suddenly, these things are not new. So even if we saw the results coming in 2023, 2024, there was a product which was called previously Dynamics 365 Marketing, which is now Customer Insights Journeys. And, partly of that marketing things we just saw, or we see today, were partly already there and has been tested on audience in
Yes.
2020, 2021. And I was already teaching in that classes already. And that's why I knew that. And I always told and make my Dynamics colleague jealous, if you would use marketing, you would see all the cool stuff that I'm seeing. And now in 2024 and 2025, especially with the rise of Copilot Studio, previously Power Virtual Agents, just got this agentic capabilities now. And suddenly you can create your copilots during this time, has been renamed then to agents, became, less work on you just to create that topics, that chats and so on. So we had to put much more work on it as before. And this is one of the breakthroughs. So you don't have to put so much work into it like you had to do as before. And I think this is what makes a hype. Suddenly people just thought, hey, I have a buddy I can talk to, and it really reacts,
Yep.
but at the end, it's still a machine, it's still learned, by trillions of data and react, on probability. And I think, John, you have been also on Scottish Summit 2024 as well. I think you have maybe seen the keynote by Scott Hanselman when he just showed
No,
us.
I didn't go to Scottish Summit, but I have seen that
Oh,
keynote. Yeah, I'm going this year though. This is
okay.
I am too.
yeah, this is the first time I'm going. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. So in
Very
2024,
exciting.
Scott Hanselman came and showed us, how really AI is working with that probability and so on. I was my very first keynote in the conference. I was blown away, and that's why this is something where I think there's still a lot of hype. It's too much marketing into it.
Mm.
And you come in and you discuss and try and execute with your clients and still see that Copilot Studio, for example, Copilot isn't there where
Yeah.
the clients would like to have it.
Have
But
you
I think
been
that
have you been playing around with code apps at all?
I do, but only in the preview.
Yeah.
I'm in my role currently at Evanate. I'm driving Copilot and Copilot Studio more, so that's why I'm not so much into Power Platform at the moment. So the more topics I'm currently involved in is governance. So if you just want to, use Copilot, if you want to use Power Platform, you have to enable the governance part first. And that's the most boring part ever. It's not so super romantic if you want to talk about this one.
I noticed.
But unfortunately, it's
It's so
necessary.
important though. And I used to say, so Craig White and I, when we first started chatting, I was like, governance is so boring. Why do you talk about it all the time? Like, I think it's so super boring. But now it's actually super interesting because what I've really found out is that people actually don't know what they have, right? And so I had a client, I won't mention their name because they might listen because I love them and they love me, but they were like, we are not using Power Platform at all. We don't use it. And when I went into Admin Center, they had 86 environments. And it turns out that their environment strategy was a guy with admin rights sitting behind a Teams channel. And people would just, I was like, what do they need to go through to get an environment? Oh, they just send me a message and I make them one. And I was like, great. So that makes governance interesting to me, right? And
I used to love those.
okay.
I used to love those CRE installs.
Yeah.
And like people, like you'd be talking to like a CIO or someone, and they're like, yeah, there's probably no one really using it. And then you open that, and they're like,
Yeah. And or one time I remember they had, we never used Power Automate Desktop. They had, and to be fair, they didn't have a lot, but they had 5 flows, and all 5 of those flows were declare social media history. And I was like, somebody figured out how to use it. It was, well, and okay. So this will actually bring me into my next question. Because one of the things we talk about, a lot of us lagged our way into our job, and we all talk about that, right? Like we didn't start off in Power Platform, to your earlier point, 6 years old, right? We haven't done this a lot, and we sort of accidentally ended up here. But then people get in and they see people like you, and you're an MVP, and you're also a Microsoft certified trainer. And there's people in the community who it's really important to them. They want to go down that path. They want to be an MVP, right? And they want those recognitions. I would love to hear from you, from your perspective. What does that journey actually look like? And then what's the honest truth about what it takes that people don't always talk about? I know this is what I do, right? This is what I do. I have to ask these
This
questions.
is a
'cause they're
good. This is a
important.
good question.
Yeah, definitely a good question, and it deserves also an honest answer. Yeah, it is. I try to put that into a few words as possible, or a few sentences. Um, I think that people just don't know what is really behind as an MVP or partly an MCT. So, um, to be honest, before 2024, I had no aspirations in becoming an MVP. So I was super
Okay.
happy with my job. It was fulfilling me. I have a family who was fulfilling me. And I had a global role. That means I was more or less responsible for the whole world for Power Platform at Everneat. So I just
Amazing.
got scheduled meetings from people from Japan or Australia, which, by the way, I love, to talk to these cultures. But when they scheduled during my night at 2 a.m. in the morning, or 3 a.m. So I said, can we maybe could it have it a little bit later, so your afternoon, my morning, could that be possible, and so on. And sometimes we couldn't come to an agreement. So I needed to wake up during these times. And this is, what already have a little bit prepared me for that MVP journey, because becoming an MVP means you don't need to be active every day. You also don't necessarily have to be active every week, but it's helpful because you need to keep yourself up with technology, which
Mm.
I feel like every week some new changes are coming. And if I'm on vacation, I'm also reading the news. So because if I'm just coming back only 2 weeks after, it feels like a ton of new stuff have been released.
Yeah.
And with my work mail already, it's exploding. If I'm just looking into it, I have over 300, 500, 700 messages in Outlook, on Teams, and so on, just coming. It's hard for me to keep up because once I'm just online, people, chatting with me again. "Hey, we're glad you're back. We just need your help, escalation, or something like
Yeah.
this." And then you just don't have time. So MVP means you just have your normal work time, if they say 8 hours, it feels sometimes like 9 hours or 10 hours. Then you have family life, If you don't have any kids,
Yes.
that's great. But if you have kids, kids are not plannable, some kind of. So whatever I plan, like, at 9, p.m. in the evening, I could do some work and so on. And then my kid just decided to go on the rampage, and I'm not sleeping today. I drank, I don't know what he drank, something like coffee, something like this. He was very active. I mean, he just needs a little tic tac, and then he got so much sugar for his little body, and go on a rampage and doesn't sleep anymore. So, and that means that in 2024, I just have sacrificed a lot, and that also meant
Yeah.
that less family time for work. Work was always in a change, when I changed back to delivery, plus MVP stuff. So I was working for the MVP stuff till midnight, after midnight. And then I started sacrificing my sleep. And sacrificing sleep is something which is the worst decision you can ever do. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this is
Good.
something
Yeah.
we will
I
talk about
agree
this
with
a little bit
that.
later. And at the end, you start sacrificing. And sacrificing also means less time for your friends, just to get everything together and everything working. And that seems horrible. And I knew a few people only, on a 3 months mission for the MVP status and then delivering all this time. But at the end, you just need only 24 contributions, and that's it. But, you have to be present more or less every month, every second or third month, quarterly. just to give Microsoft, or the ones who just deciding if you continue to be an MVP or not, can say, okay, he's still present, he's still doing impact.
He's
And
still
the same
doing
now with
stuff and
MCT as well. Now MCT has changed. So before last
yes,
year, it
has.
was nice, because you only needed to deliver one course and had to either renew your Power Platform certification, for example, or just make a new one. Now you have just to deliver 6 courses. And I'm still asking myself how I want to do this with all the time, with no time I have. But I think I will just figure this out. So this was the long version. The short version is there's a lot of what is coming. And plus the attention. I was never asking for that attention, but once you just become an MVP, a lot of people want to be your best friend. I have no idea why. They're chatting with you on LinkedIn and make you the weirdest offerings. I can't describe it. It's just,
So
this planet is full of weird people. That's what I can say,
I'm gonna laugh about this because the first time I ever met John in person was at a London Power Platform user group, right? And it was an all-day event. And I had 3 sessions. This is what happens when you submit a bunch and then like people drop out and then they're like, Heather, can you do all 3 of yours? Sure. Right. And I don't know if you ever feel like this, but sometimes I do a session and I feel really good. I'm like, I reached out to so many people. Like, I know that this was a powerful session that I delivered and people got. And I was like, I felt really good about this. What I didn't expect is I couldn't even eat lunch because all these people were following me around and they were trying to talk to me and everybody was waiting for their 5 seconds with Heather. And then John, I don't know if you know this, John's gigantic, right? I am not gigantic. I am like, if I have my big girl shoes on, I might be able to stretch to 5'5", but John's like a foot taller than me, And so he came by and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, "John," and I really have to pee. I have to pee. And these people won't leave me alone. John's like, I got it. And then he was like, you guys, Heather has to go now. And he basically like cleared this path.
It was like your
But
security guard.
he was like my security. And I was like, now I know. This is why I was like, I feel very famous today, but then I need John as like my bodyguard to keep the paparazzi away because it's such a weird feeling when you're like, I'm just me. I'm just me. I'm just this person who talks to clients and who helps people at work and who does all of like your ordinary day stuff. But suddenly somebody will see like the letters after her name or hear a session you do, and they're like, oh, she's famous and now I'm going to meet her. And you're just like,
Yeah,
right, could I have some lunch?
It is a bit odd that. It is a bit odd that. And the thing is, I've done that. I've been that kind of person to people like Scott DeRoe. Like when I met him for the first time, I was like,
did you fangirl?
This guy. And like he's like seriously, dude. Like it's hilarious. It's so funny. It's so funny. So Bülent, I've had a look at your Substack, the Aloha Guy, which is a really good name. What's the story behind that? And how does writing help you process and share experiences inside this space?
So the Aloha story is a special one. It's special because I do have now my 10 years anniversary with my wife, and
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
lovely.
Thank you. And when we went on a honeymoon 9 years ago, and we couldn't plan it after the wedding because Turkish weddings, Mediterranean weddings are crazy because you need to invite a lot of people and a lot of trouble. Family drama also are included as well.
Okay.
And we didn't have any power after the wedding, and we were so exhausted. So we decided we want to plan that properly the year after. So we planned to go to California, and I also wanted to go to Hawaii once in my life. And after figuring out how we can really put this all together, because it's not easy, to put this in 3.5 weeks together, we went there to that island. And the first time I was on this island, my wife and I like, wow, we can't believe we're here. And the people are so super relaxed there. And once we just returned back to our work lives, to Germany, but I think since in UK is the same, you go into your project and everyone is so super stressed. And that's a complete opposite to what I have experienced during a vacation and especially on Hawaii. I've never had this feeling again. So I wanted to keep that for myself. And I still said internally, to the people, aloha and mahalo, that was the word for thank you. And my project manager was annoyed of that. And after a couple of days, he said, you need to switch. We're in Germany. We don't say this. We say the German words. I was in Bavaria. Servus is what you say, and in the north, you say moin. This is the greetings usually. And I said, no, I don't want to. And it became some kind of a mantra of mindset, keep this kind of little healthy world for myself.
It's like a
And I said
reminder
that
to that
internally.
reminder to that space, right?
Exactly. And that's not something I just have used and invented only for the community. I was just doing that since 2017 at Evanate all the time. All the Americans are super happy when I
Amazing.
told them aloha. All the German like, what the
Wait, you're
what are
talking
you
about?
talking about?
Yeah,
Right.
I guess I didn't think about that because we do, obviously,
And when I
that
just
resonates
treated
with
in
us.
2024, when this plan in my head just comes alive, like, okay, why not? Why not become an MVP? So what can I do? Then I started also a blog as well. And I'm not writing that much anymore, but during that time, with my previous position at Evernator, that global role, I had much more time for writing as today in my delivery role. And that Aloha guy was like, it was previously that Aloha saying guy, in brackets saying, and
Yeah,
that's why. But I like this. This keeps still my mantra, and it helps. But if you tell
I
that
love
to
it.
anyone in my offline world, and the people are like, who are you? Who are crazy? So something like this.
I
Still
like
don't
it.
get
I really like
So you
it.
know what? I really love. I don't know, John. I don't know if I got you the same way. I really love how you talk about we come off a holiday and you go back to work and you just realize, like, because how many times have I said, okay, let's talk about it for real. We don't get a lot of holiday in America, right? And so then I come to this country and they're telling me off, like, Heather, you have to use. I had 20 holiday days, like at the end of November last year. They're like, you have to use this by the end of the year. I was like, what am I gonna do with all this time? I had no idea, right? But then I took it, and you know what I did is I didn't, and I know this is probably normal for a lot of people listening. I didn't put in the ticket so that I could do work on my computer overseas. I went to Lisbon and I forgot to put the ticket in, so I couldn't get into my work stuff on my computer, right? And so you guys just took holiday. And it was like the weirdest thing I've ever experienced where I was not checking work. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't making any decisions. I was just doing this holiday. And then when I came back, I had a very similar feeling because I kept saying, like, why can't I just be on holiday all the time? It's because I'm not rich. But if I was rich, I really love my company, but I would not work here anymore if I was rich enough to not work, just to let you know, I do other stuff. But yeah, and it is, and I think going on holiday, you come back and you really see that difference, don't you? You see, like, everybody is not
Especially if you've
happy.
been,
Whereas,
especially if you've been away for more than 2 weeks. I think like,
have you done that? Have you been away for more than 2 weeks,
yeah,
John?
well, before I got into consultancy, I went to Australia and New Zealand for like 3 months and then came back. And that was because I came back to London and I'd been in New Zealand and Australia for, that period. And Australia, in places is quite busy, but where I wasn't so busy. And coming back to London, that was a real kind of assault on the senses. There was just so busy,
Amazing.
a lot of people, and it was a bit too much. Yeah.
And you liked it quiet and just sort
Yeah.
of like,
I mean, I'm kind of like in the middle. I kind of like it quiet and I kind of like it loud at the same time. So it's a bit of a weird one. Heather, it's the killer
I'm
question.
going to
You
do
know
it.
it.
I'm so excited for this. This is my favorite part of our podcast. In fact, yeah, I won't say anything more. If you've heard it, we have this section called Uncomfortable Corner,
I
right?
know.
And so we would just love for you to tell us, when was the last time you felt uncomfortable? And this can be in or out of work. And what we're looking for here is we want to know how you felt, how you managed to get through it, because obviously you got through it because you're here now with us. Um, what you learned from it, either something about yourself, your skills, your emotions, and then what you would do differently or the same if you find yourself in that position again. And now it's all your time.
All my time. Thank you.
All your time.
To be honest, till today, I was thinking of, okay, what can I talk about? Because there is a lot of uncomfortable situations I'm going through, but the one most bothered me just, overnight last, because as I said, I'm on vacation. What you do in an all-inclusive hotel on vacation, you're eating all the time because you don't want to have a good time. But then, my stomach just came back to me and remind me, that's not so good and so on. And I see all the good people in shape, outside, and I'm looking at myself. I'm like, gosh, I had 1 year just to train myself, to bring myself into a shape, and now I'm again super fatty, going into it. I just reached 100 kilograms, and this is not nice, and I don't feel comfortable with this anymore. And this is not something which is just been now since now. This has been since a
Yeah.
longer time,
Mm.
but I just figured out I haven't solved that problem, to be honest. So it's eating behavior. And this is, I think, concerning a lot of people. So when I'm just going on conferences, I see half the people seem to be very good in shape. So maybe they figured out either there's super genetics, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe they're just doing, that exercising in the morning or eating, quite well all their life. So that's why they're looking that good. But on the other side, I also see a lot of people who just don't look good, like me. And I think one of the reasons is the job as well. I think we are in a very stressful job. We are
Yeah.
in meetings after meetings after meetings. We're sitting all the time. The ones who just having kids, have to bring the kids. I have to bring my kid to daycare. So my son is in daycare at 9:30 in the morning. So then I can just come back. So I try to figure out, okay, the only time where I can just do a workout is at 5 a.m. in the morning, because I do have meetings till in the evening. And then I'm just, want to have also quality time with my family, with my son, till he's going to bed. It's nearly 9 or 10. So after this, you don't have to go to a gym anymore because you're already super tired after this day. But I figured out when I just go at bed at midnight, with MVP work and all this kind of stuff, and then you just wake up at 5 a.m., you just have, a sleep deficit, and
Mm.
if you have
Mm.
this one, it doesn't do your body well. So I'm just coming from a global role, as I said. And I had this already. I couldn't sleep. That's why it was a pleasure for me returning back to Germany, to delivery, to one time zone. So at least I could have 7, 8 hours of quality sleep. But if you don't have enough of that sleep, you don't allow your body to heal. That's one thing. The other thing is healthy eating, exercising. And this is, where I also try to lower down, my steps in the community a little bit as well, So I just have decided less writing, for example, in the blog, the podcasting, a bit more YouTubing, the newsletter, and that's more or less it, and some conferences. But if I
Yeah.
just do more and more like I did in 2024, I just saw that I don't have enough time, to do my body good, because I'm adept with my body already. So currently, maybe it doesn't, you know, that's okay, maybe for today, but in 10 years, 20 years, it will fire me back like a boomerang. So,
Mm.
and this is something which is concerning a lot of people. I don't know
Yeah.
how you feel about this one,
Yeah. I
but
mean, I'm quite, as Heather knows, I'm quite a big dude as well. Like 6'4", and yeah, probably heavier than you. Um, it's a weird one because I feel like I do need to do something about it, but it's like kind of weirdly and uncomfortably in my subconscious. So, so like I'll give you an example. We're going on holiday. Um, we're going on holiday, and it's with my mum and my sister, and my sister's husband and kids. And my mum and my sister are very conscious about wearing a bikini when they're on holiday. And I'm not that I'm wearing a bikini, but I'm obviously going to be wearing swimming shorts.
I
I
would
don't
The
know,
love
it
to see
visual,
might
that, to
happen.
be
I was
honest.
like,
Might happen.
oh no,
But like
to think about
there's not
that.
really any part of me that is thinking like it's like I'm like body unconscious. And I think, and I don't know if that's actually healthy or not. I'm not sure. There's a
Dan,
very interesting one, a very interesting one. Well, yeah.
I'm
And
the
thank you
opposite.
for talking about it really honestly, and how you feel about it, because it's not an easy thing to
The
talk.
moment when you just don't fit into your trousers anymore or your jeans, this is not so good. Like you just go in and like damn, I just bought already a new one, or like new clothes,
Yeah.
vacation, I have time to buy me, a larger one. So that t-shirt, for example, you see on that screen. And I mean, I feel now comfortable. I was really uncomfortable when I just came to vacation and you saw already that t-shirt is not that long anymore. So if you just, do some kind of this movement with your arms, so suddenly people could see your stomach. And this is something, my wife also told me, you have to do something. This is not healthy anymore. And this is a warning sign. And as I said, we don't have endless time in our life. So, and we have just to, build our future today. And this is something. And but the food in Turkey, unfortunately, is so delicious. You want to try everything, especially in all-inclusive hotel. But I have just to remind myself, maybe only, some proteins and more
Have a
healthy
little
salad
bit.
and vegetables, and
Yeah. I think it's really interesting because um I'm gonna echo John. I really appreciate you being open with that because I don't think enough men talk about their body issues or their concern. Like we hear women all the time and that
Mm.
women feel really pressured, right? And I know it surprised me the first time I realized like, oh, men may feel this pressure too, or they may also be aware that they look differently than other people. And I hadn't considered it. So I think that's an important part of the conversation. I think too, one of the things I have a really big birthday coming up this year, right? Very soon.
40th.
30th, 20th, whatever you guys will believe. No, and and I think about all the stuff that has happened in like the past 10 years and what people didn't tell me. And one of the things that gets really common is our bodies change as we get older and our metabolism is different and the way we because I always think when I was younger, oh, I could eat a lot more and I could burn calories a lot faster and I had a lot more energy. But now, this amazing body that I'm mean to sometimes has created humans and had
Mm.
babies and I'm getting older and my body's changing. And so things aren't going to be the same. So I can't sit there and say like, but when I was 20 years old, I was fine because just so you guys know, I'm not 20 anymore. I just thought I
you
would bring
you
that
look
to you.
like 20 for me. Come on.
Okay, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
See, this is why you are my favorite people because I just
Oh,
needed that for today. So yeah, it is really interesting, and I think it's an important conversation to have. And I see somebody like in front of me, right, who is happy and knowledgeable and makes me feel good just talking, and that could apply to either one of you, by the way, just to say,
that's very nice.
um, and that, and the body type doesn't impact that. Right? Like for me, it doesn't I don't have any additional judgment based on what somebody looks like. But yeah. Okay. I feel like I'll ramble on into something that people will be like, nope, Heather, don't want to hear that. So
All
I'm
good.
gonna turn it back over to John.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry, Bülent.
you
Yeah.
have just to think. You have just to think about that. That we are just in the wrong working space for this. We're sitting all the
Yes.
time on our desk. We're not
All the
moving.
time.
Some of them just have some treadmills, below their desk, and at least have some steps and so on. Um, I mean, if we would work, like in gyms, for example, we would completely look differently, because
Mm.
we would do all the
Yeah.
time something different. That's also what I sort of thought about, changing the job, like is it something I would like to do all the time? So if there's opportunity to do something else, in your life, but you have some standards. After a while, you get a good salary and so on. You don't want to lose this and can't change it because you have also family to feed, right? So
Yeah.
it's not that easy
Yeah.
just to change it anymore. You make your decision, right? But I have also one, two friends, in the gym space as well. And they look fantastic, but they're dealing all the time with that. They have time. They're doing 2, 3 hours of training, workout every day and so on. And they look differently. So we need to find a way of, not only eating healthier, maybe also to find some exercise. We don't need to look like on the covers. That's not what I'm saying.
Hmm.
We don't need to like have muscles everywhere or, super
Yeah.
skinny. We don't need this. At the end, we just need to remove the fat around our organs, like heart and so on, in us.
Yeah.
This is
Hmm.
the most important part. So,
Yeah.
and you can do this with simple things like in the hotel. I sometimes I just skip the elevator So I would say like a hero because I just wanted to walk, to the sixth floor, because for my health. No, because it just don't comes because everyone goes, to the dinner and the damn elevator is just not coming at the end. I'm so annoyed that I'm just using the stairs instead. But at the
Yeah.
end, this is the most uncomfortable situation which bothers me especially during this vacation again when I just outside and see
Yeah.
all the people who looks much better.
Bülent, thank you very much for being so honest. And yeah, it's I think people will relate to that watching this, and it's nice that you're able to
Huge.
feel like you can share that here with us. So pretty much that's about all we've got time for now. Special thanks for Bülent being here. Thank you very much for coming along and talking about your career and especially that part around Uncomfortable Corner. We will see you at some point in the future, Heather. I'm not sure when we're going to see each other again. Hopefully it will be soon. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to 1,000 things. But the three of us should be. Are you going to Scottish Summit this year?
I hope so. So I've submitted. So let's see if
Yep.
that submission will be
Yes.
accepted. If not, I will be at EPPC.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, hint. As a
Right?
B.
Hint, hint.
Look up. That's where
Yeah.
Scotland is. Come on, Scotland.
Scotland. Oh yeah, I think it's this way for me.
Yeah.
The sea's that way, so Scotland's that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you very much again for being here. Thank you very much, Heather.
Thank you
for
very much.
co-hosting. It's always awesome to talk to you. I hope you have a really good rest of the week, and I hope you have a good rest of your holiday, Bülent. And no, we're not jealous.
No,
Right.
but I do love you guys.
Yeah. Thanks,
You're
everyone.
amazing.
All right.
Bye
Thank
bye.
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.